Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet, voice you know with the news you trust studio, sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Dale Menyo. Powered by Soy Biodiesel. Head down to Columbus Thursday and Friday. We'll bring you updates from the 97th Ohio FFA Convention, all thanks to Wilmington College. Check them out at wilmington.edu. Hey, Ohio had visitors on Monday. Joel has more.
U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins visited Western Ohio this week alongside Governor Mike DeWine and many more elected officials and industry leaders in Ohio agriculture. Their travels took them to a pair of stops to visit poultry producers and family farmers, about as far west as you can get in our fair state. Their first stop was at Weaver Eggs, an area hit particularly hard by highly pathogenic avian influenza this year. From late 2024 through early 25, approximately 15.5 million birds have been depopulated statewide.
Mid to late February, we released the 5-point plan. That plan included biosecurity, a $1 billion plan, by the way, biosecurity measures, repopulation efforts, of course, which included higher indemnification for our egg layers and our egg farmers, a deregulation effort regarding line speed and some other things. I'm moving into a few little ag terms that may not be relevant to everybody, but that's important. Number 4, for the short term and directly to your question, was the importation of eggs. We had immediate agreements reached with Turkey and South Korea and a few other countries to get some, again, for the short term while our egg farmers here repopulate. And then finally, the vaccine and therapeutic, significant funding there. Almost immediately, we saw the wholesale price of eggs come down, and in about 4 weeks, the wholesale price has come down 56%. Those numbers are undisputed.
The final stop, up the road to the Schmidtmeyer farm, operated by Ryan and Krista Schmidtmeyer and family. The event, visited by many leaders in Ohio commodity organizations and more, centered around the family's impressive 360 rain irrigation system.
And what an inspiring time we've had here today at this beautiful farm to see the regenerative farming that is happening here and what they're doing with everything produced. Even the manure is used in total to fertilize organically, or to fertilize naturally, I should say, and for bedding, etc. And just to see the equipment that they have invested in, the one that we just viewed, which hopefully a lot of the cameras got, has been a game changer. It is a new day for agriculture in this country. And I know as we in the Trump administration are working very, very hard to make America great again, to bring down costs, to basically open up the markets, to allow farmers like the incredible family standing behind me to prosper and to feed their family and to reach new eras of prosperity like never before. That's what we're really working to do.
The full video news story about the big day in Western Ohio with Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins online today at ohioagnet.com. I'm Joel Norwood reporting.
And thanks, Joel. Today's weather brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
We've got a little break in the action over Ohio today, but we're not done with precipitation just yet. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Quick forecast update for you here. Overall, we have another wave of moisture that wants to work through after yesterday's on-again, off-again rain activity. We're going to be taking a break today, getting through most of Wednesday without any additional action. Down near the Ohio River, clouds are a little bit thicker, and I guess I won't rule out a few pop-up showers this afternoon, but I think it's going to be on a very isolated basis. Our biggest round of moisture comes through tomorrow. I think the clouds thicken overnight tonight, but tomorrow through early Friday morning, I think we have to look at anywhere from a quarter to 1 inch of precipitation coming through Ohio. And then to finish out Friday, we're still trying to kick clouds out probably Friday evening and overnight. So Friday night, I won't rule out an additional shower that can give a tenth to maybe a quarter of an inch. In any case, by the time we hit Saturday midday, clouds will be trying to break up. I don't think we're fully sunny on Saturday, but we are sunny for Sunday all the way through next week. Strong high pressure sets up over the Great Lakes, keeps us dry here. Now, there are going to be some heat-based showers that try and pop up around the rim of the high, so that means we can see some on-again, off-again clouds through the middle of the week and late week. Those clouds may pop up and give us a renegade shower or two, but I don't think it is a strong precipitation chance at all next week, and the dry weather all the way goes through the middle of the following week. Our next chance at moisture may be, with any significant scale, the 14th or so of May. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. The National Corn Growers Association and the American Soybean Association expressed serious concern on Tuesday after the U.S. International Trade Commission voted to impose anti-dumping and countervailing duties on imports of the herbicide 2,4-D from China and India. The U.S. Department of Commerce will now determine final duty rates. Commodity leaders warned that the ruling could reduce access to affordable herbicides and lead to potential shortages of 2,4-D, a critical tool in herbicide programs across the country. Both organizations agree that this decision came at a tough time when farmers' finances are already tight. Both organizations testified before the ITC earlier this month to highlight the importance of maintaining a competitive herbicide market. They continue to advocate for policies that ensure farmers have the access to essential crop inputs. Corteva Agriscience filed the petition in 2024, calling for anti-dumping and countervailing duties on imports of the herbicide from certain foreign suppliers. The U.S. Department of Commerce will now determine and issue final duty rates. And on Tuesday, the Environmental Protection Agency released its final insecticide strategy, the next step in the agency's plan to meet its obligation under the Endangered Species Act. The release comes roughly 9 months after the draft strategy was unveiled and 1 day ahead of an April 30th deadline mandated by a court settlement. Endangered insect species, such as the rusty-patched bumblebee, will receive additional protection from exposure to insecticides under the EPA's final insecticide strategy, which was released April 29th. According to an agency news release announcing the strategy's release, EPA stated that the plan identifies practical protections for federally endangered and threatened species from the use of insecticides while providing flexibility for pesticide users and growers. The strategy identifies mitigations for spray drift and runoff, erosion reductions aimed at protecting more than 900 listed species. The action is another example of how protecting our environment and safeguarding our economy can go hand in hand, said Lee Zeldin, EPA administrator, in the agency's announcement. We have found common sense ways to keep endangered species safe that won't place unneeded burdens on the growers who rely on these tools for their livelihood and which are necessary to ensure that a safe and plentiful food supply is available. The EPA's news release also provided commentary from commodity organizations and other agriculture organizations. Ted McKinney, CEO of the National Association of State Departments of Agriculture, stated that numerous pragmatic improvements to the draft insecticide strategy have created a final strategy that can be better implemented by applicators while also protecting threatened and endangered species. Zippy Duvall, president of the American Farm Bureau Federation, urged EPA to continue to refine and improve upon the plan. Farmers are dedicated to responsibly using pesticides, and frequent updates to the pesticide strategies are important to ensure the health and safety of America's families, he stated. EPA understands there cannot be an effective conservation strategy as a nation without a meaningful partnership with farmers and ranchers. Stay tuned, back with more after this. Think biodiesel is just another fuel? Think again. Biodiesel is Ohio innovation on the move. Clean, green, and built to keep diesel engines running strong. It's an engine booster, a soybean supporter, and an environmental champion all in one. Every gallon reduces emissions, strengthens Ohio farms, and powers your ride. Drive with purpose. Choose biodiesel. Learn how at soyohio.org.
Many drugs, like cocaine, methamphetamine, and non-prescription pills, are often cut with dangerous opioids like fentanyl. As a result, nearly 14 Ohioans die daily from unintentional overdoses. That's why it's important to carry naloxone, such as Narcan, a life-saving medication that blocks the effects of fentanyl and other opioids. Over the last 5 years, naloxone has saved over 83,000 lives. Help save lives and visit naloxone.ohio.gov to learn more and find free naloxone. Remember, if you see an overdose occurring, always call 911.
Oil futures dropped almost $2 on Tuesday, driven by weak global demand and expectations of plentiful supplies from OPEC Plus countries amid signals of a potential recession of the U.S. economy supported by economic data. The conference board reported U.S. consumer confidence fell for the fifth consecutive month in April, with the index dropping by 7.9 points to 86. It was 93.9 in March. The Expectations Index, which reflects consumer short-term outlook for income, business, and labor market conditions, dropped by 12.5 points to 54.4, the lowest level since October of 2011, and well below the threshold of 80 that usually signals a recession ahead. Let's shift gears and check in with Joe Panorwood with this week's soil temperatures.
Let's take a look at the latest Buckeye Temp Tracker numbers, where we're tracking soil temperatures across the state in 4 counties each week. This Buckeye Temp Tracker brought to you by B&A Genetics. Real service, real results. No surprise, the highest ratings for the most part across all 4 counties, except that of Mercer County, actually, which is still trying to get back to their highs in readings from April 15th. Let's go through the numbers. Morrow County, seeing the cornstalk field we're keeping track of, have a soil temperature of 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Their bean stubble field, 62 degrees. In Perry County, 59 degrees for the cornstalks, while 60 degrees for bean stubble. Fayette County, a nice 68 degrees for both the cornstalks and bean stubble field. And Mercer County, the coolest of all, cornstalk field reading 50 degrees Fahrenheit soil temperature and a bean stubble at 52 degrees. Trending about 5 to 10 degrees higher than last week's ratings, again except for that of Mercer County. Check out the trends from all this spring's Buckeye Temp Tracker numbers online at ohioagdat.com, brought to you by B&A Genetics. I'm Joel Panorwood reporting.
And thanks, Joel. Today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. For information to market your beans to LDC, call them at 574-566-2113. Here's Ryan Martin.
Good planting progress meant the markets had to fall apart yesterday. We take a look at the numbers. The only silver lining here is we did finish a little bit off of the lows in soybeans and in the wheat markets. Corn, old crop, definitely finishing near the lows of the day. 13 to 15 cents down on old crop corn. New crop was down about 4 to 6.5 cents or so. Beans down anywhere from 8.5 to 11 across the curve. Wheat markets in Chicago and Kansas City were down all day long. Spring wheat Minneapolis was up for a time. Could not keep that going into the close, succumbing to all the pressure we sell elsewhere. Soy complex had soy oil falling off dramatically. Bean meal did manage to finish green. That was the only place that we saw green on the screen yesterday. The planting progress was probably the number one issue. We had corn planting progress this past week on the report, close to what was expected. Bean planting progress a bit above expectations overall. The selling in the marketplace was really seen in spreads. The July-November soybean spread was under pressure, as was the July-December corn. The grain market was extracting weather premium as well, based on no concerns about seeding to this point. And then behind that, you also had the trade situation between the U.S. and China. The Chinese import tariff rate of 125% has shut down U.S. ag sales to the third largest ag importer in the world, or on our balance sheet at least. For 24-25 corn, beans, and wheat, China is done and completed all of their purchases. We mentioned that on the most recent weekly export inspections report, that China has now finished everything that they had bought, and all cancellations are in and done. Now, we're focusing more on the new crop side of things. The fall sales and exports, imports will be important if the trade war continues. Yesterday, brokers estimate managed money sold 7,900 contracts of corn, nearly 6,000 contracts of beans, and 2,100 contracts of wheat. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Today's market's brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Overnight at the open, May corn up 2.5 at 463. December up 0.5 at 445. The May beans are up 1/4 cent at 1041 1/4. November down 1 3/4 at 1023 1/2. July wheat up 3/4 at 526 1/4 cent. September 541 up 0.5. In livestock at yesterday's close, April cattle, $216.35, up 70. June, $210.20, up 60. The May lean hogs were down 40 cents at $92.55. June, $99.45, down $1.55. August feeder cattle up $1.95, closing at $296.90. September up $1.52 and closing at $295.60. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dale Minyo. This is the Ohio AgNet.